You can judge me all you want, but I stole my husband from another woman. It is what it is. Let's call my husband Martin. I met him when he was a married man. I was the side chick. But let me explain something to you. His wife at that time, that woman was like a piece of old dried out bread. She was dry, no spice. She thought being a wife was just to cook banku and go to church and shout amen. She did not know how to handle a successful man like Martin. She did not know how to dress, how to speak, how to make a man feel like a king in his own house. So when Martin saw me, his eyes just opened. I was fresh. I was sharp. I knew what I wanted, and I was not afraid to take it. I didn't just give him my body. I gave him ambition. I showed him a better life. I told him, Martin, a man like you, with your money, you should be driving this kind of car, living in this kind of house. I built him up with my own two hands. When his wife found out, the old church heard about it since we attended the same church. There was shouting, crying, drama. She stood in front of the congregation one Sunday, her face swollen with tears, and pointed at me. She called me a husband snatcher. But what did I do? I was just giving a man what his own wife could not give him. The gossips in the church, they talked and talked. But let me tell you, what happened after? After the dust settled, after Martin divorced her and married me, those same people who were gossiping, they started to bow their heads when they saw me. Good morning, Mrs., they would say. You are looking beautiful, madam. They started to bring their problems to me in women's fellowship. They respected me because I had won. I moved into his house, our house. I changed the furniture. I painted the walls. I threw out all the memories of that other woman. I became the wife, the one he introduced to his business partners. I told myself, you see, you have conquered. This life is yours. But me, I started acting like a fool. I was sitting in my fine living room, drinking my cold wine, thinking I was the queen of the world. I didn't know that the same way I came into this house, someone else was already on their way, planning to come for me. I didn't know that someone was coming who would try to be my karma. So there I was, the madam of the house. Life was smooth. My two children were growing well. The business was doing fine. But a big house like mine, with a busy man like Martin, you cannot manage it alone. You need help. My old maid, Comfort, the one who had been with me since I first married Martin, she came to me one afternoon. Madam, she said, my daughter in the village has given birth. She needs me to come and help. I beg you, can I go? I sighed. There was a disturbance. Comfort knew my ways. She knew how I liked my food, how I wanted my clothes ironed. But what could I do? A grandmother must go to her grandchild. So I paid her a good bonus and let her go. Now, you see, in our church, there are always people looking for help. It was around this time that a new girl started coming. Her name was Abina. Hey, if you had seen her then, you would have pitied her too. She was always in those old-fashioned modest dresses, the kind that even my mother would say is too plain. The sleeves were long. The hem was down to her ankles. She was quiet, so quiet. When she talked, her voice was small, like a little mouse. Hey! Good morning, Mama. God bless you, Papa. She would sit at the back, never looking anyone in the eye. People in the church started talking. Oh, that poor girl, the woman would say. She has come from the village to look for work. See how humble she is. They felt sorry for her. Me, I barely noticed her. My eyes were on more important things. She was just another face in the crowd, another struggling girl looking for a lifeline from the successful people in the church. One Sunday after church, I was talking with the other woman, complaining about how difficult it was to find good help these days, how my children needed someone reliable, how my life was too busy. And then my eyes just fell on her. She was sweeping the church compound, not because anyone asked her, but because she said she wanted to serve God. She was so diligent, so focused on her work. And that is when the thought entered my mind. It seemed so simple, so convenient, so generous. My old maid was leaving. Guess who I thought of to help with my kids? Abina. And that is when I invited a snake into my own garden. Because you see, when you think you are doing God's work by being generous, that is when the devil enters your house with a smile. Welcome back to my channel, babe. How are you doing? I hope you are having an amazing day. If you are new here, I'm Vera, but you can call me V. And I share real life stories that will shock you, break your heart, inspire you, and sometimes make you laugh. So if this is something you love, please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Today's shout out goes to Miss Didi9, Eva for real, and Nainimi4900. I hope I pronounced your name right. They were the first people to comment on my last video. Thank you so much for the support, babes. I love you. And now without any further delay, let's continue the story. So I called this small girl, Abina, when I told her I had a room in my house and I needed someone to help with the children and the cleaning. Her eyes welled up with tears. Actual tears, oh. She held my hands and her voice was shaking. Madam, she said, God will bless you for this. I will not disappoint you. And at first, she was perfect. Too perfect, if you ask me now. But then I was enjoying the peace. She moved into the small room behind the kitchen. She settled in quickly. Her manners were impeccable. Every night without fail, I would hear her praying in her room. Long, serious prayers, speaking in tongues sometimes. I would think to myself, this is a good girl, a God-fearing girl. And her work, hey, she cleaned like her life depended on it. The floors shone like they were made of glass. She learned how to cook all my favorite dishes perfectly. Even better than comfort. The house ran smoother than it ever had. My life felt easier. My children, they adored her. She would play with them, help them with their homework, sing them to sleep. Auntie Abina is the best, they would tell me. I even started to feel a little jealous, but I pushed it away. I told myself, see what a good madam you are. You have given this poor girl a chance. You are so generous. Let's continue. I felt so pleased with myself. I had taken her straight from the church and given her a good life. I would give her my old clothes, and she would thank me like I had given her a box of gold. Everything was calm. Everything was perfect. But then, small things started to happen. Sometimes, when Martin was in the living room, or when he was talking on his phone, I would catch her. Her eyes would be on him. Not a quick glance, oh. Oh no. It was a look that was a little too long. A look that lingered. She would be standing by the door or pretending to dust the shelf. But her eyes were fixed on my husband. The first time I saw it, a cold feeling went through my stomach. But I am a sensible woman. I shook my head. I told myself, you are imagining things. You are being paranoid. This girl is humble. She is grateful. She would never. I convinced myself that the stress of being a rich man's wife was making me see problems where there were none. After all, everything else was perfect. One Saturday, I decided to go to the big market in town. I needed new clothes, and I took Abina with me to help me carry my bags. She was in her usual long gown. Her head was covered with a scarf. Looking down at the ground as we walked, she looked like the perfect humble hell. I was in my fine clothes, my handbag hanging from my elbow, the madam with her maid. People looked at us with respect. We were in the fabric section. I was feeling a nice lace, debating the price with the woman, when a voice cut through the market noise. It was very loud and sharp. Abina, long time. I turned. A young woman was rushing towards us. She was flashy. Her weave was long and red. Her jeans were so tight. I wondered how she was even breathing. Her high-heeled shoes were not for a dusty market. She looked like she was going to a nightclub, not to buy onions. And she was heading straight for my maid. Before I could even think, this flashy woman threw her arms around Abina and hugged her tight, laughing. Hey, Abina, you disappeared. We thought you had gone to abroad. But Abina, my humble help, she did not hug her back. Her whole body went stiff as a plank. She pulled away so quickly. Her face, I would never forget it. It was stiff with panic, pure fear. So sorry, Abina stammered. She wouldn't look at the girl. She looked at me, her eyes begging. You have mistaken me for someone else. The flashy girl looked confused. She looked at Abina, then at me. Then her face changed. Oh, I see. Oh, okay, sorry. You look like someone I know. I'm so sorry. Then she walked away. Abina was trembling. She kept saying, Madam, I don't know that woman. I said nothing. I just kept walking. But my mind was not on lace anymore. That moment played and played in my head over and over again. It looked like the girl really knew her. Why was Abina trembling and panicking if she didn't know her? A humble village girl from a poor family does not have friends who wear red weaves and high heels. That strange moment refused to leave my mind. After that day at the market, my eyes were open. I stopped just being the madam of the house and started being a watchman. And let me tell you, small changes started adding up, one by one, like drops of water filling a bucket. The first thing I noticed was on the washing line. Behind my house, there is a line where we dry all the clothes. Every Monday, Abina would wash. At first, it was only a few old wrappers and a plain blouses with a few long gowns hanging there looking sad and faded. But soon, new things began to appear. Small things hidden between her old clothes like a secret. A pair of tight jeans, a blouse with fancy sleeves. Once I saw a dress, the kind a young girl wears to go and see a boyfriend. It was short and red. These were not the clothes of a poor, humble church girl. I said nothing, no. I'm a queen. I know how to watch and wait. The second change was Martin, my husband. He smiled more. Sometimes I would hear her laugh in the living room. And when I went to see what was funny, it would be Abina pretending to be shy, telling some small story about the children. My guts, my womanly spirit was screaming at me. But what could I say? If I accused him, he would say I was a jealous woman. If I accused her, she would cry and say I was wicked. I was the one who had brought her here. I had to be wise. So I stayed silent. I held my head high. I wore my fine clothes and managed my saloons. I was still the madam of this house. I had fought and won before. I told myself I could handle a small girl like Abina. Then my children began to change. It started with small comments. We would be eating dinner, and the eldest would look up at his father with big excited eyes. Daddy, he would say, when are we going to Dubai? Auntie Abina said you promised we will go on a big plane. The first time, Martin nearly choked on his soup. He coughed and waved his hand. Dubai, who told you that? That is for later, my son. Finish your food. I felt a chill. Dubai. Martin had never mentioned any trip to Dubai to me. Then it was my little girl. One evening, I was helping her with her bag. She looked at me, a little face serious. Mommy, Auntie Abna says you are a very important woman. She says you are always too busy with your work, so she will play with us and Daddy instead. My hand, which was pouring water over her back, froze. The words were like a sharp knife. They were spoken with a child's innocence, but they carried a woman's poison. Another time, my son asked me, Mommy, why don't you wear nice dresses like Auntie Abna? How? I asked myself. Abina, who was always wearing long gowns, why would my son say she wears nice dresses? My blood ran hot, then cold. This woman, this church mouse, was definitely hiding something, and I was going to find out what. The children's words were eating at me. I decided I needed to see something, anything, when it was not expected. So I planned it. On a Thursday, I told everyone I would be at my salon all day, overseeing a big delivery. Martin went to work. Abina was at home with the children who were on holiday. But in the afternoon, I left the salon. I drove home quietly. I didn't use my big car that makes noise. I used my small quiet one. I parked a little way down the street and walked to my own house like a thief. The compound was quiet. The children were probably sleeping. I opened the main gate softly and walked towards the kitchen door. And that is when I heard it. Laughter, loud, open, careless laughter. It was not the gentle, shy giggle I was used to. This was a full-bodied laugh, the kind a woman makes when she's comfortable and free. It was coming from the backyard. I moved quietly, looking through the kitchen window, and there she was, my humble help, Abina. She was not in a modest dress. Oh no, she was wearing a tight singlet and shorts that showed all her legs. She was leaning against the wall, one foot propped up behind her, holding her phone to her ear. And forget that woman, she was saying, her voice loud and confident. I beg, let's talk about something else. She threw her head back and laughed out loud at something the person on the phone said. This was a different person. The quiet, praying, timid girl was gone. In her place was this loud woman. Then, as if she felt my shadow, her eyes snapped towards the window. Our eyes met. The laughter died in her throat. The confidence drained from her face in a second. She froze, her mouth still open. Then, like magic, her whole body changed. She shrank, her shoulders slammed, her eyes dropped to the floor. The phone was quickly hidden behind her back. Madam, she stammered, her voice instantly returning to that small mousy whisper. You are back early. I was just talking to my mother in the village. I did not say a word. I just looked at her. I looked at the singlets, at the shorts, at the face that had just been full of life and was now pretending to be dead. I turned and walked into the house. My heart was pounding in my chest. Who exactly was this stranger I had brought to live under my roof? After that day I saw her true face, I knew this was war. A silent war in my own house. But I am a businesswoman. I am a queen. I know you must watch your enemy and learn their strategy. So I started watching Abina even more closely. And I saw a new dangerous pattern. My mother-in-law, let's call her Mama Ya, is a powerful woman, the head of the family. When I took Martin from his first wife, it took me 2 full years of buying her expensive clothes and sending her big parcels of food before she finally accepted me. She's not an easy woman to please. But I noticed that Abina's phone was always busy in the afternoons. She would be whispering, her voice sweet like honey. At first, I thought it was her mother in the village. But then, one Sunday, Mama Ya came to visit. We were all sitting in the living room. Abina brought in the drinks, her eyes down, her walk slow and respectful. As she handed the glass to Mami Ya, my mother-in-law patted her hand. Thank you, my daughter, Mami Ya said, her voice warm. My ear sharpened. My daughter, since when? Later, when Abina had gone back to the kitchen, Mami Ya turned to me. This help you have, this Abina, she said, nodding with approval. She's a good girl, so humble, so respectful. I forced the smile. Yes, Mama. You are lucky, Mamia continued. She calls me every other day just to ask about my health. She prays for me. She remembers an old woman, not like some people who are too busy with their fine life. She didn't look at me, but the words were meant for me. My jaw clenched so tight, I felt a pain in my neck. This girl, this actress, was calling my mother-in-law every other day. I went to the kitchen on the pretext of getting more water. Abina saw me and quickly asked, Madam, do you need something? I just looked at her for a few seconds, shook my head, and walked out. Soon, I realized that Martin was smiling too much at her. My children adored her. Now, my own mother-in-law was on her side. This girl didn't know who she was playing with. One night, as we sat down for dinner, I decided I would not talk. I would just watch. And oh, what I saw. Martin was at the edge of the table, talking about his day. And Abina, she was serving the food. But her eyes were not on the plate. They were on my husband. They followed him like a shadow. When he laughed, her eyes would just light up. When he reached for the water, her hand was there, subtly moving the glass closer to him before he even asked. She would lean over to place a bowl of rice near him, and she would stay there a second too long. And Martin, he acted blind. He acted as if he did not see the looks she was giving him. He did not see the small secret smiles she offered when she thought I was looking at my food. But a woman knows. I saw the way he did not pull away. He was enjoying it. He was enjoying the attention from this young fresh girl in his house, the same way he once enjoyed it from me. The food turned to sand in my mouth. I could not swallow. The rage was boiling inside me, but I did not let it show. I am a queen. I do not fight in the water. I sat there, straight-backed, and I ate my food like everything was normal. But inside, my mind was clear. This was no longer a suspicion. This was a fact. This girl was hunting my husband in my own dining room, and he was letting her. That night, after everyone was asleep, I stood by my bedroom window. I looked out at the compound, at the room where she was sleeping. The time for watching was over. The time for guessing was finished. That night, I decided to stop guessing and start digging. The next morning, I put my plan into motion. I needed her out of the house for a long time, so I gave her a long list of things to buy from the market, things I knew would take hours to find. Abina, I said, my voice smooth like butter. Take your time. I want everything to be the best quality. Don't rush. She nodded, her eyes downcast, the perfect humble girl. Yes, madam. She took the money in the list and left. I watched from the window until she turned the corner and disappeared. Then I moved. My heart was beating like a drum, but my hands were steady. I am the madam of this house. Every room belongs to me. I walked to the small room behind the kitchen. A room. The door was not even locked. Why would it be? She had nothing to hide, or so she thought. I stepped inside. The room was neat. I will give her that. A Bible was on the small table. It made me angry. This pretending. I went straight to the old wooden cupboard in the corner. I opened it. On top, everything was normal. A faded wrappers, a plain blouses, the image of the poor church girl. But I am not a foolish woman. I pushed the plain clothes aside, and then I saw it. At the bottom of the cupboard, hidden under a piece of old clothes, was a small Ghana must go bag. The zip was closed. I pulled it out. It was heavy. I opened the zip, and there it was. The truth. Hey, I nearly fell down. Inside the bag was a whole other life. Tight, shining dresses, the kind for nice clubs, two different long wigs, one black, one blonde, high-heeled shoes with sharp points, and perfumes. I picked up one of the dresses. It was small and tight. I held it against my own body. This was not a dress of a praying woman. This was the dress of a husband snatcher. Let's continue. My pulse spiked. My blood was roaring in my ears. The Bible on the table, the prayers at night, the downcast eyes. It was all a big, big lie. I stood there in a room, holding the evidence in my trembling hands, and one question burned in my mind. Who was this girl pretending to be? After I saw the bag of secrets in a room, I closed it and put everything back exactly as it was. My hands were steady, but my spirit was not. I needed more. A woman like me does not go to war with only one piece of evidence. I needed to know her plans. So I set another trap. This one was simple. Later that day, I called her. Abina, my phone is acting foolish. Let me use yours to call Martin quickly. It is urgent. She hesitated. For a single second, I saw fear in her eyes. But what could she do? To refuse would be disrespectful. To say her phone had no credit would be a lie. I would check. So with shaky hands, she unlocked it and gave it to me. I made a fake short call to Martin, speaking nonsense about a missing document. I handed the phone back to her, smiling. Thank you, my dear. You are a good girl. But my eyes had memorized the movement of her fingers, the pattern of her look. I had what I needed. I waited until deep in the night. When the house was sleeping, I slipped out of my room like a ghost. Her phone was always left charging in the kitchen, on the counter next to the fridge. And there it was. My heart beat loudly as I picked it up. I traced the pattern on the screen. It unlocked. Hey, the world inside that phone was not the world of a praying girl. I went to a gallery first. Pictures from nightclubs. There she was, in the tight dresses and the black wig, dancing with the flashy girl from the market, full face of makeup. Her eyes were wild, free. They were holding a confidence I had never seen on her in my house. Then I found a secret Instagram account, and the pictures and poses, they made my blood run cold. I was shaking with anger. I typed in my husband's number, but she had no chats with him. I was shaking with anger, but I was about to put the phone down when my finger slipped. I opened a chat. It was with the flashy girl from the market. The name was Effie. And I saw my name, so I started to read. And what I saw, I froze. My eyes scanned the messages. They were full of gossip and plans. But then I saw them, the voice notes, dozens of them, long ones. My finger trembling now, pressed play on the most recent one. The sound of her laughter filled the silent kitchen. Effie, forget that one. A voice played, loud and clear. She thinks she's wise. She thinks because she stole him from that first wife, she's a champion. Let me tell you something. She stole him. I will steal him back. It is my turn to enjoy. Another voice notes. The way this woman is proud, I just laugh in my head when I see her. By the time she realizes, it will be too late. That man is already eating from my hand. I played one more. It was the coldest of all. Her own children even love me more than her. Soon, I will be the one they call Madame. I stopped the voice notes. I could not listen anymore. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped the phone. It wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just a foolish man and a greedy girl. It was a plan, a careful, calculated war, and I was the target. I leaned against the counter, my breath coming in short gasps. All the pieces fell together. The humble acts, the prayers, the calls to my mother-in-law. So this little church mouse thinks she will win. We shall see. For 2 days, I carried those voice notes in my head. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I looked at Martin, at the man I had fought for, and I saw a fool. But a part of me, the wife part, still hoped I was wrong. So I decided to test the waters. We were in our bedroom. It was getting ready for work. My voice was careful, calm. I did not want to fight. I wanted to see if he would protect me. Martin, I began, folding a scarf. This girl, Abina, have you noticed anything? He did not look up from tying his shoes. Noticed what? The phone call she's always getting. And I have seen some new clothes on the line. Very stylish clothes. Not the kind a girl like her can afford. There was a silence. Then he straightened up. His face was hard. So, he said, the word was like a stone. So, it is strange, don't you think? Where is she getting the money? And the way she looks at you sometimes. That is when he snapped. He turned on me, his eyes flashing with an anger I had never seen directed at me. You, he shouted, is this what you have become? You are now jealous of a poor girl who washes your children's clothes. You are monitoring her clothes. What is wrong with you? You know I don't like jealousy. It will become a sickness. I was stunned. The words felt like physical blows. Sickness, jealousy. Martin, I am not. You are. He cut me off. First, it was the secretary at my office. Then it was the woman who sells fabric. Now it is a helpless girl who prays every night. When will it end? You are the one who is changing, not her. Just then, there was a soft knock at the door. It was Sabina holding a cup of tea for him. Her timing perfect. She stood there in the doorway, having heard everything. Her eyes were wide, pretending to be scared. But as Martin turned his back to me, taking the tea from her, she looked straight at me. Over his shoulder, her eyes met mine. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. The message was clear. I have got him now. Martin turned back to me, his face full of disgust. See, you have even scared the girl with your nonsense. In that moment, as I stood there, being called a jealous sick woman by my own husband, with that little hunter smiling behind him, I felt it. For the first time, I felt my throne shake. After Martin shouted at me, I went to church that Sunday with a heavy heart. I put on my finest clothes. I wore my gold. I walked in, my head high, my smile in place. But inside, I was broken. I felt like everyone could see the cracks in my life. We sat in our usual front row. Martin sat beside me, acting the perfect husband. Adina sat in the back with the other young woman, her head bowed, her hands clasped in prayer, the hypocrite. During the offering, my friend brushed past me. As she dropped her money in the basket, she leaned close, her lips barely moving. Sis, she whispered, her voice so low, I almost didn't hear it. Keep an eye on that girl of yours. My body went cold. I kept my eyes forward on the pastor. Why? I whispered back. She was at the market yesterday. She was with a girl who looked like Jezebel. And the things they were saying, she's not who you think she is, so be careful. I thought you should know. She moved away quickly, leaving me standing there. My stomach dropped. It felt like the floor had opened up beneath me. The service ended. I don't remember a word the pastor said. I walked out of that church, the sun beating down on me, but I felt cold. That night, after the house was dark and silent, I did not cry. I sat at my dressing table, looking at my own reflection, the woman who had fought once before. The time for crying was over. The time for complaining was finished. That night, I planned my move. I did not do it in the dark. I did not do it in secret. I am the madam. I confront my problems in the light of day, in my own living room. I waited until Monday morning. The children were at school. Martin was home, working from his study. I called Abina in the living room. I was sitting on my big sofa, the one I chose myself from Italy. I had a phone in my lap. Madam, you called, she said. Sit down, Abina, I said. My voice was quiet, but it was not soft. She sat on the edge of the chair opposite me, her hands folded. I placed a phone on the glass table between us. I know you are not from the village, I started. I know you are not the praying humble girl you pretend to be. Her eyes flickered to the phone, then back to me. Madam, I don't... Quiet, I said, my tone slicing through a lie. I picked up the phone, unlocked it, and played one of the voice notes. Her own loud, mocking voice filled the room. She stole him. I will steal him back. Her face went pale. The act scrambled. For a second, real fear was there. Then the tears came. Fake crocodile tears, just like I expected. Madam, please, she cried, covering her face. It was a mistake. It was my friends. They were pressuring me. I never meant any of it. I just watched it. I let her perform. Then I said, I have seen your clothes. I have seen your secret life. You are a hunter in my house. The crying stopped, just like that. She dropped her hands. And then, hey, she did the most shocking thing. She smiled. So you know, she said, her voice now flat and strong. No more pretense. Then throw me out if you dare. I stared at her, shocked by her boldness. She leaned forward, her eyes locked on mine. Go on, call Martin. Tell him to send me away. But you know he won't. You know, don't you? My heart was pounding. I stood up, my body trembling with rage. Martin, I shouted. Martin, come here. He came out of the room, looking annoyed. What is all this shouting now? This girl, I said, pointing at Abina. I have proof. Proof she's planning to take you from me. I want her out of my house, now. Martin looked from my furious face to Abina's fearful one. He sighed, a deep, tired sigh. He rubbed his forehead, and he said nothing. He just stared at the floor. The silence told me everything. This man, this Martin, who I had cooked for, prayed for, built an empire with, he could not even look at me. Martin, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Did you hear me? I said I want her out today, now. He finally lifted his head, but his eyes did not meet mine. They went to Abina, who was now crying softly into her hands, the picture of a victim. Babe, please, he said, and his voice was a weak, pathetic thing. Let us be reasonable. Think about the children. They love her. She's good with them. If she goes, it will disrupt them. It will break their hearts. For the kids. Eh? Hey! I felt a rage so hot ball up inside me that I saw red. This wasn't about the kids. Since when did Martin care so much about the children's happiness that he would ignore a viper in his house? Since when? He was using my own children as a shield to protect his mistress. He wanted to keep her here, in my sight, in my bed, under my roof. He wanted to eat his cake and have me serve it to him on a silver platter. I looked at him, truly looked at him. The man I had loved was gone. In his place was a stranger. A weak, foolish man who was being led by a young girl's tricks. The love I had for him, the love I had fought with, shriveled up and died in my chest in that moment. All that was left was the betrayal. I looked from his pleading, cowardly face to a fake crying one. And in that moment, I knew I would not beg. I would not fight for a man who had already chosen another woman. I was too proud for that. If this was the end, it would not be a victory, it would be mine. I decided to end it on my own terms. I walked away from the living room and went straight to the small room behind the kitchen. I pulled a small Ghana must go bag from a cupboard. I opened her drawers. I did not fold their clothes, so I gathered them like garbage and I shoved them all into the bag. I could hear Martin pacing in the living room. I could hear Abine's face crying had stopped. She was silent now, waiting. I zipped the bag shut. I dragged it out of the room through the kitchen and to the front door. I opened the heavy door and threw the bag out onto the veranda. Then I went back inside. I walked up to Abina. She was still sitting in the chair, but she was calm now. Her eyes were dry. Get out, I said. She stood up slowly. She did not look at Martin. She did not beg. She walked past me, out of my living room and onto the veranda. She stood over a bag. Then she turned and looked back at me, and then she smiled. See you soon, madame, she said. My blood chilled. Something in her tone felt like a promise of war. But me, I did not flinch. I stood tall in my doorway, my back straight, my head high. I was the madame, and I had just taken out my own trash. I watched her pick up the heavy bag and walk away down the street. For 8 months, there was peace. Martin was moody, but he was still in my house. I thought perhaps I had won. I had removed the snake. The wound was deep, but maybe, just maybe, it could heal. Then came that Sunday. We were in church, the same front row. I was in my white dress, feeling like maybe God had heard my prayers. Then a whisper started at the back of the church. I turned my head, just a little. And there she was, Abina, standing at the entrance of the church like a queen. She was glowing. Her skin was shining. Now, mind you, since I threw her out, she has never been back to church. But now she was dressed in fine new clothes, better than anything she had ever worn. And in her arms, wrapped in expensive lace, was a baby. The child was small, maybe 2 months old. I looked at Martin. He was staring at her, at the baby, and on his face, I did not see shame. I saw pride. A stupid, foolish pride. That was the ultimate blow. It was not the baby. It was the look on my husband's face. I knew immediately the baby was his. And you know, it was not even the baby. It was the look on my husband's face. He was proud of the fruit of his betrayal. A year later, he divorced me. He did not even fight me for the house. It was as if he was in a hurry to go and start his new, fresh life. So here I am, alone in my big house. The same house I fought for. The same house I threw that girl out of. People talk. They say, hey, she has fallen. She has lost her husband to a small girl. They pity me. But let them talk. I lost the man I stole to the girl I brought into my own house. God has a sense of humor, eh? It will show you your own life in a mirror. But let me tell you what I did not lose. I did not lose my mind. I did not lose my property. I still have everything. This house, the 2 saloons in town, a land at East Legon. That girl thinks she humbled me. That girl thinks she has won. But let me tell you something. I was the one who taught Martin how to dress. And if that girl ever tries me, if she ever looks at me with disrespect, I will remind her. I will remind her who taught Martin how to live. I will remind her that the man she calls husband was shaped by my hands. She's living in my shadow. I didn't lose. I just stepped down. In fact, if I want Martin today, I will just get him. But I don't want a weak man. So let her have him. A man who sleeps with any woman he comes across. Is that one too a man? No woman he would meet will ever be like me, and he knows it. No one is like me. So let her have him. Stupid small girl. She thinks she humbled me. I will always be the queen. No one is like me. I don't know. Sorry. compose yourself, V. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to feel about this story. So you stole him from his wife, and another woman stole him from you, but you are the queen. Okay, oh babe. Okay. Okay. You know what? Let me hear your thoughts and opinions about this story. Leave them down below. I want to read your comments. What do you think? Leave your thoughts down below. And now, I mean, you know, Dada, this is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And if you've not subscribed yet, come and join the family, babe. Please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.